All right, so I want you to introduce yourself, tell me your background, what you do for a living, any educational backgrounds and things of that nature.
Well, first, my name is Shea Sumpter. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I actually played basketball at a school called Richie's High School. Then I attended Danville Area Community College. Then shortly after that, I went to University of Missouri, St. Louis. That's where I got my degree in liberal studies, minor in sociology, minor in gender studies. I'm currently in Grand Canyon University for my master's program. A little bit more about me. Open-minded, positive guy that also started a foundation to help create exposure for student athletes, to get more exposure, to be a mentor, to just help give them guidance. So I also started that foundation about 2016.
Okay, that's awesome. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your foundation. So like what exactly, you say you get exposure for student athletes, and it's also a mentoring program. So well actually let me be more specific. Tell me what was like your favorite memory from having this particular program.
Well, yeah, being a student athlete, for
Mhm.
being somebody from poverty, from being somebody that come from a rough background, I saw what somebody can do in your life when they're positive, when they care for you, when they want to help you succeed.
Yep.
So as I start to get older, I start to realize like how important these people were to me, and how it was just, I don't know where I'll be without certain people in my life or coming in my life.
Mhm.
Some of them are gone or they passed away. But so I was like, how can I be able to do what these people have done for me? And without, at the time I didn't believe in myself due to various reasons. And some of the reasons why we're on this phone now, I didn't believe in myself, but I knew that I can do it within sports. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, in this community. So I live in the south suburbs of Chicago, which
Mhm.
is outside Chicago. And it's so much talent out here. And I learned that, I discovered that. And I know that firsthand because I played in this community. It was just so much talent. And I just used to be like, how are these student athletes in this community, or these communities, are not being recruited, don't have opportunities? So I was like, instead of waiting for somebody else to do it, why should not, why can I do it? Why can I
Right.
help do it? I've been through what they're going through. I know how to navigate. Um, I don't like talking about myself, so I hate saying this, but I was I was okay player, had some accolades and some rankings and stuff like that. So I know what they're
Mhm.
going through. I know what they're about to get themselves into. So, you know what, let me help them. So I started this uh, like 2015.
Mhm.
I was like, I took a stand. I'm gonna help this community. So I think my greatest moment was to start it. I remember talking to two players that I saw at this tournament, this big tournament in the Southland area. I was like, man, I love what you do. And then it's basically, I was setting myself up to become what I was becoming, which was a college coach. And I had the opportunities to coach in college. So it kind of helped me kickstart that, to help me build relationship with people, help me connect with them, help me help them as well. So yeah, that was just the greatest moment starting it. So talking to the kids, then actually
Mhm.
seeing them sign. Every time a kid signs or get an offer, or it's just the greatest moment ever,
Yeah.
greatest feeling ever, to see these people being counted out or not getting recognition or not being seen. And then by the grace of God, I'm able to help them or help shed that light on them to the point where they're doing it. Because at the end of the day, I do this because, once again, like I said, my foundation is called HLSL, Help Lives, Save Lives. So it's to help them become the next NBA player, or the next engineer, or the next CEO, or the next
Right.
the next father, or the next, whatever the case may be, just something in life that's positive to help them get out this situation that they grew up in. So that was just the greatest moment, though, seeing these guys sign, seeing these young ladies sign, seeing these
Mhm.
young ladies, these young men graduate with degrees. Some of these, funny story, and I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but it was a kid that I met at my previous job, my first coaching stint. It was a young man. He probably had his kids at a young age, probably like 14, 15 years old. He came into his freshman year of college with 2 kids already. So he had him young.
Wow.
So he's from Ohio. Pretty rough area in Columbus, gang infested and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say, this young man come in with 2 kids around gangs. Columbus didn't see no way. I was blessed enough to coach him and the other staff there. And this man got his associate through us at the college.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got his bachelor's. And then after that, he went back to school to get his master's. So once again, to see a young man had a children at such a young age and didn't see no way out, to see him help him become, I don't know, maybe the next coach or the next instructor or teacher,
right,
coming from his situation, that was one of the greatest moments. And not just him, other kids. I know kids from Chicago
mm-hmm.
that didn't see no way, and now they holding up master degrees. Another kid on that same team, actually, his teammate, this kid, he went to a pretty rough high school, but it's a legendary high school for basketball called Marshall, Chicago Marshall. He literally probably lost like 10 to 15 friends due to gun violence and street violence, gang infested violence, gang violence. Or whatever the case may be, just normal street stuff in Chicago. He lost tons of people. To see him finish strong with us, and then go get his associates, and then go to SIUE and get his bachelor's, and then go back to school, but he get his master's. Now he's coaching. That's why you do it. That's why I do this. And once again, like, so my foundation not only, so all these kids I don't necessarily recruit or I may have coach, but they may still reach out to me for mentorship, just for guidance, for help, for some type of system, maybe some type of support. So my foundation is just here to help provide anything that the youth need, whether it's more support, whether it's emotional support, spiritual support, whether it's guidance, whether help navigate through the life that I've been through as well, through through athletics, or just any way to help them. So that's what my foundation is based off in them, some of my greatest moments.
Well, I believe that is beautiful. I commend you on that. I work with children, so I mean, I understand, when you see the end goal be accomplished, like that's the rewarding part. But I know it's rough. Like it's rough. It's a lot, going through the emotional ups and downs with them. I worked my initial teaching job was in a middle school in a predominantly Black area, low socioeconomic statuses, like. So I've worked with those kind of kids. So I think that it is absolutely amazing, commendable. Thank you for your work, your service. It is needed. So that's amazing. My sister told me that you have a foundation, but she just didn't get into details. But yeah, that's amazing.
Because I don't really like talking about it. I know I gotta get better at it. My family actually told me I need to start celebrating my wins more. But I don't like making it about me, and I try to remain humble because, I don't know. I like to just past experiences and past childhood traumas and struggles I've been through. I guess I kind of put myself in the shell, but now I'm grateful. I'm not to brag, but I'm thankful for the organization, the foundation I created, who was able to get over 86 student athlete scholarships. About 10 of them play professionally.
That's amazing.
My friend actually broke it down to me. When he broke it down to me, because my friend is very good at government funding and the businesses and non-for-profits and organizations. He's huge at that stuff. My good friend Julian Brown lives in St. Louis from Chicago. He's like, bro, do you notice that you help award $2.4 million in scholarship? I was like I thought about stop playing. That's not true. That's not right. It's like, because you don't really believe it, because once again, like, I'm thinking on a smaller scale because it's still new to me. I'm still coaching basketball. I'm doing this. I'm doing things. I don't really sit back and think about the numbers like that because I'm not really in that mindset yet. But when he brought that down to me, like, bro, you probably helped award. No, he said you did. He said you helped over $2.4 million in scholarship, and then probably over another 20 or 30 that's possibly got their bachelor degrees. Probably another 5 or 10 got their master degrees without that group. And I was like, I was just breathless.
And you say you started it in 2015?
Yeah, I started like in 2015, and I helped over 86 student athletes gain college exposure or mentorship or guidance. I helped over 86 students by myself.
That's phenomenal. That is, you said something that sparked a thought, but we're gonna touch on that in a minute.
Okay.
So tell me about your relationship with your biological father. If you had other father figures, we can put those in later, but I want to focus specifically on your biological father. What was that relationship like?
Uh, uh, this is crazy. I guess nobody really asked me this question. My relationship, with my father, uh, that's what it is. Honestly, it's like it's kind of hard to speak on it because like I don't really know if I ever really had a true relationship with him. You know, I grew up in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he'll come around just a little, and then he'll go away. He will reach out here and there, but then I'll never hear from him again. There's
Mm-hmm.
always inconsistencies. So I say, like, my mama told me, this is crazy, I never noticed this. She's like, do you notice, like, when I used to take you out for ice cream or I used to take you out somewhere, do you notice when I used to do that? I was like, no, I don't remember. So, well, yeah, I guess I did that because I knew that your dad was probably going to disappoint you and not show up. So I try to do something to take your mind off of it. I was like, wow, I never noticed that. Like, I didn't know. I just remember vividly, like, I have asthma. I was very asthmatic growing up. My asthma was really bad. And I used to remember being in the hospital, like, you know, like I said, I'm a young kid, I don't know what asthma is. I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
could be possibly dying or about to die or could have died due to asthma not breathing, as we all know what asthma is. Um, I'll call or wonder like, is my dad coming? And every time I was hospitalized dozens of times, like a lot. I was always in the hospital.
Yeah.
And yeah, he never showed up. Every time I went to the hospital, like, is my dad coming or didn't show up. So yeah, then he didn't start coming. I think he didn't start really coming around until like 12 or 13 as I started finding myself, as I started discovering myself. And then I found, you know, well, first, I got to thank God for giving me the game of basketball because I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Chicagoland area, came that city, you know, South Side. You know, you don't really have too many positive influences. All you have, you don't, like I said, I don't know nothing about, you know, I don't care about the president or being the next doctor,
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, or thing like that. I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this guy who's got
Mm-hmm.
power, respect, and people fear him. And he get anything he want any time of the day. He got dozens of people surrounding him because he's a high-ranking gang member. You
Right.
know, so I want to be like that because that looks like success to me. He got the newest car, got the latest clothes, the latest fashion. He got women. He got, like I said, people doing whatever he asked to do. So I wanted to be. It's a gang in Chicago that, you know, my family was heavily affiliated with and a part of. I wanted to be like them. They're my cousins, so I'm with my cousins all the time. So I want to be. So I didn't want to be nothing else. So God gave me the game of basketball, which changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life, and it put me on the right path. So I say
Mm-hmm.
that to say, I'm starting to play a little bit. Starting to get a name a little bit. And once again, didn't really come to my games, didn't really contact me. Uh, so yeah, but it's crazy because I feel like I have to do the forgiving. I'm the youngest. You know, my dad's what 50 something, so I had to do the
Mm-hmm.
forgiving. At first, I despised him. I was like, why he didn't? I used to think why he didn't love. I used to think why he didn't love me. Why nobody loved me. What did I do wrong? What did I get? Why did I'm getting cursed or put in this position? Like I didn't bring myself into this world. Uh, so yeah, just it was. I said really inconsistency. And then as I got a little bit older, I understand. I like, man, forget it. I'm not finna let him, it's over. It's okay. I
Mhm.
made it this far without him. My mother did a phenomenal job raising me. My mother basically was the man and the father and the mother for me. I learned so much from her, and I saw what a real Black queen can do for a young man. So I
Mhm.
learned like, I didn't need no father setting because my mother did everything. She didn't cry, she didn't complain, she didn't leave me. She didn't run, and none of that. There was no excuses. No matter how hard life got, she was always there for me. So I learned that. Uh, and so then fast forward, I'm getting older now,
Mhm.
playing in college coach. I'm sorry, playing in college once again. Really no communication. Not really coming to see me play. Things like that. Time get on, find out he got more kids and been married twice and stuff like that. I said, oh, okay, nice. And once again, always still being forgiven though, because the godly thing and spiritual thing to do. Um, going. So we like I said, we had, don't get me wrong, we have conversations, we talk and things like that.
Mhm.
But it's never been a time when he consistently, weekly, monthly, uh, had that relationship with me. I'm talking about the prior time with my adolescence days.
Mhm.
Um, Same thing. College, about to graduate. Didn't show up to my graduation. He showed up to my high school graduation. Came to my prom to see me off from the prom, but sometimes I'd be feeling like his wife probably told him to do it. Um, then once again, now I'm in college, about to graduate from university with my bachelor's. Been a pretty rough year because I lost 3 father figures that we'll talk about later.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that happened. And then show up to graduation. My granny and my grandfather, which is his parent, came. My little sister that he had with another woman came, but he didn't. So once again, so then last thing, I even told one to go pro. I told him I'm going pro now. I thought that he always wanted when we used to talk or we used to see each other. Sometimes he'd be like, "Yeah, go pro, go to NBA, this that, and stuff like that." Then he'll go another 3 to 4 years without talking to me. So once again, so basically, my relationship is me always overextending myself to do, like I said, the spiritually godly thing. I'm pulling up to his car wash. He have a pretty popular car wash on 89th and Ashland in Chicago, South Side. So I'm always going there to see him. I'm calling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I feel like I was putting the effort in for some reason, like I said, just the God in me, I guess, was like, so he taught me later on, like, just how to forgive. You still can forgive, but you don't have to, you know,
Pursue.
pursue. That's great. So yeah, I would guess say my relationship with my father had been, I don't even know the words, honestly, inconsistent or here and
Not
there. Or
existent. Yeah.
it's I don't know what to title this this
Right.
this relationship, honestly.
Well, as you were telling your story, it's amazing how similar to my story it is. My dad was the exact same way. I knew who he was. There was times that he lived in the same city as me,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was very sporadic. Like, I mean, he would pop up, and I would see him for 5 minutes. Then 4 or 5 years would go past, and then I wouldn't see him at all. And so once I became older and I could drive, he would like sell CDs and stuff like in this little area of town. And if I wanted to see him, I would have to stop by there by his spot to say, hey, what's up or whatever. It was never ever him actively finding me, trying to figure out where I am or what I'm doing. It was never ever that type of thing. So it took me some time. And well, when this project is all done, you'll hear my entire story. But I always kind of felt as though that particular part of my life did not affect me. And it wasn't until I was seeking God and trying to seek, what to do next, that God just kind of brought this forward to me. And I didn't even realize it was an issue till I started trying to write about it. And I'm like having breakdowns every 5 minutes. I'm like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, I never ever felt like I just wasn't that girl. I wasn't that girl that longed for her daddy, on a regular basis. I just always felt like it did not affect me. So when I really sat down and thought about, how much he just did not come around, and what that does to your mental, trying to grow up and trying to show up in the world, which I'm going to touch on something that you said that kind of connected those dots for me. But it's difficult trying to grow up and show up in the world when your father, you know, your mother is awesome. My mother did wonderful jobs. Like my mom did a superb job, but there is no way in the world that as a woman, she could have provided what I needed her to as a father. She just did. Women don't even have the capacity. So when you said about you how you done how many 86 million dollars in scholarships and
2.4. I wish it was
2.4 million,
86
I'm sorry,
million.
2.4 million in scholarships and
86 student athletes, I'm sorry.
thank you, 86 student athletes. When you said those numbers and you say, but I don't like to brag and I don't want to make it about myself, it made me think about how I struggle with the same thing. And as I've done a lot of research, that comes from not having that father figure to tell you and allow you to stand in who you truly is. Because not everyone can go around and say, I've helped 86 students get scholarships, get athletic scholarships at that, or I've got $2.4 million. I've helped Black and brown kids that look like me from my city, from my area town that people wrote off. I've helped these kids get scholarships. So when you walk in a room, you have to walk into that and know that and be able to say that with full confidence. It's not about bragging at all, but it's pure fact. And that's your ministry. So a lot of times because we lack that strong father figure in our life that, poured into us, like my grandfather was my father figure, but it still was not my biological father. It wasn't my DNA. You see what I'm saying? So there is a difference. Like I never knew it until I started researching, but there is a difference from having that biological father, pour that stuff into you than just a regular father figure. So speaking of my great grandfather, that was the man that kind of, thank God for him because I didn't have anything else. But he was the one that kind of taught me, or not really taught me because, older Black men, they didn't do a whole bunch of talking, but he definitely exemplified, what a real man is and what I should look for in a real man. So tell me about your other the other father figures in your life and how they kind of help navigate you.
Well, let me say this too, because I
Mhm.
also believe in, giving credit where it's due. So my dad, as I got older, like I said,
Mhm.
now it's probably around sophomore, senior year, he started showing around, he come around a little bit, especially my senior year, he started coming around a little bit more. Well, not coming around, but talking a little bit more. If I needed something, he'll give me some money to help me out with things like that. But then I think I heard him say, like, you only contact me for money. Now, I heard somebody in my family say that. We only contact him for money. I said, well, honestly, what else could I do? Like, you are not trying to find ways to continually seeking me or trying to find me. Like, come on, son, let's do this. Let's go do this. A couple times I spent at his house when I was younger and things like that. But it's never been a time when he really was like, I'm coming to get Shea today. Tell him be ready. Do this and do that, like
Mhm.
on a consistent basis. So like at the
Mhm.
same time, okay, well, I'm a senior. I'm a junior senior now. I got things I'm trying to do and look presentable. I'm getting older. I don't want to stress my mother. We already having a tough time. So what you expect? I wouldn't have done, I don't have no problem with doing anything with you, even though whatever you put me through and the neglection or not being there for me, I'm still contact you, which I don't have to. So like, what else you expect? But okay, moving forward, my other father figures, like I said, it's probably the reason why one, I coach,
Mhm.
two, why I'm still alive, three, is like it's kind of hard. It's gonna be hard to talk about them honestly because these four men is just I can't even put in word how much they mean to me or what they meant to me during their
Mhm.
time. They still with me spiritually. It's of course my grandfather. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go grandfather first. My grandfather Lemmy and my grandfather Shea, my grandfather Sumpter. I'm sorry. Just two strong Black men did what they supposed to do for their family. Probably had a tough upbringing, like I said, growing up in the 20s, 30s, 40s,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But stood with their family, did whatever it took to provide for their family, to be there for their families. Didn't leave, didn't quit. Just being a perfect example to how a man be. My grandfather Lemmy, because that's my mother's side. Not the fact that I'm not saying I didn't love my father's side, but due to my problems with him, I kind of took it out on his side. So I still see my cousins that stay near me, and my granny loved me to death. Rest in peace, her soul. I love my granny as well, but I'll see more of my mother's side because that's who I lived with. My grandfather, just, you know, the coolest guy, smooth, positive. I heard he was really tough and rough on them growing up, but to me and to his grandchildren, just anything I need, he was always there. I call him, we could talk to him. You just sense his love when you see him. He always just wear these God first hats. And I never, and as I get older now, it connects like, wow, like God was planting the seed in my mind at such a young age, because I didn't understand. He used to have every color. It got to a point where I wanted a God first hat. Like, I'm young, growing up, thinking it's cool because I saw my granddaddy wear it. So you always had God first hats, all colors. So that sparked, like, I believe that's, like I said, planted the seed to my spirituality and my love for God and Jesus. So yeah, just positive influence, care for you, love you. You know, we used to go out to a lot of breakfast places and eat. Anything you need, he'll be there. You need to talk to you, can talk to him. Just a phenomenal man. Then the next father figure I had was kind of like the person I was referring to earlier. Somebody that proud of his environment, you know, grew up in Southside Chicago, the Gardens, Outgate Gardens, which is a pretty rough area. You know, my Uncle Jerome, his middle name is funny. His middle name, his nickname was Peace. But if you knew him before he matured and got older, it was the complete opposite. Because he, like I said, he was, like I said, it's not his fault. He grew up in a certain environment where he had to survive. So he had to do certain things to survive. So he became, you know, a part of a gang and rose up the ranks and was pretty high ranking. But that's the funny thing about back in the day to now. You can still be in that lifestyle, but you still trying to make sure that the next generation trying to find a different path, alternate route. So yes, he was in the streets. Yes, he did all types of things. He been in jail and everything like that. But he tried to make sure that we didn't follow down his same his same path. He would, if he had to tell us a real story, it could be the wildest, realest street stuff ever. He did that with a purpose to, like, hoping to get us realize, like, this is not the life you want. You can be more than this. You can do more than this. He tried to breathe confidence, faith into us. He tried to help us see that it's more to life than these Chicago streets. It's more to life than this stuff. Do you know what comes with this? Do you know what you have to do in this life? Do you know the losses, the sacrifices, the pain, the suffering? Do you know the things you think of, the dreams that come to your mind by trying to do this? So back in the day, we were so blessed to have people like that, because even though they was in it, they still trying to find ways to help you understand that this is not what you want.
Right.
Take another route. So he taught, I would say my uncle and some of my uncles taught was really the foundation to help me become a man, though. Because I remember times he'll, like, we'll walk. I'm a shy kid. I'm tall for my age. People think I'm older. He teach me simple stuff like walk with your head out. Don't ever walk with your looking down. When you walk with your head out. You stand up tall. Like a man. You show that you're not afraid of anyone. You show that, you know, things like that. Tell me about looking presentable. You know, he looked presentable. You know what I'm saying? He had the fly stuff due to, you know, stuff that he did streetwise. But he taught me how to dress, taught me how to keep my composure, told me to look people look people in their eyes when you talk, show the respect. So he taught me respect. He taught me, you know, how to be a man. Even though he was in the streets, he still tried to make sure we try to go a different route and more to life. So my uncle was really my father figure. Like I say, try to teach me how to be a man, trying to teach us more to life. You can have anything. I actually stole this from him. I still say this to this day. He told me he didn't want to introduce, like, writing down things. And it's crazy how now every pastor and people talking about writing down goals and dreams, stuff like that. But he told me, he's like, a dream is something that you fantasize about. It's something you go to sleep, you wake up, oh, it's gone here. He said a goal is something you're gonna work towards, you're gonna do something to accomplish. So write down your goals. It's cool to have dreams, because it started as a dream, but eventually turn them into goals and then accomplish those things. So I just embody all his teachings, his methods, and things like that. So like I said, he's really like my father figure when it comes to laying the foundation of how I'm supposed to be as a man and help my makeup as a man and the man you see today as Shea Sumpter, him, my grandfather. Then the next father figure is the guy that kind of like sparked the interest of me to want to coach potentially. Gary Fenton, Caucasian man that I met after my 8th grade year in middle school playing basketball. I was coming this name and things like that, but he never approached me like somebody that just want to use me for my talents or want to use me because I'm gonna be this next star. And kind of find out, I'm gonna go back. I met so many people that knew him that said the same thing. Like, no, he really just cared about you as a person. He didn't care what color you were. He didn't care where you come from. He didn't care about none of that. He just cared about you as a person. He loved everyone. I like, that's so crazy. Like, I didn't, like my principal now at my job said he gave him his first job. A struggling Black kid from a poverty-stricken area in Chicago Heights. So no, he's like, he gave me my first job. He had a custodial business and company. I was like, that's crazy. But another guy that came into my life, now he one that breathed confidence, belief, anything is possible. You can do this. Don't let nothing stop you. It's attainable. Like he breathed that into me. He was telling me, not only me, and like I said, I'm a star basketball player and all that, but everybody, all my team, he took all me and my teammates and made a team for us to stay together. Because my 8th grade coach wanted us to stay together. Throughout high school and stuff, he felt that we could do great things together. So he took all of us, but I think our bond became closer. I don't know why, because I just grew a certain amount of love for him. Because anything I needed, he was there. I needed someone to talk to. He'll talk to me for hours. If I'm going through something and it's with somebody, like, do I need to talk to him? Do you want me to talk to him? Like, he's like my protector. He'll tell me every day, like, Shea, you are the best, and you can do this, and they can't mess with you, they can't mess with you, son. Like you the best. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Are you okay? It's okay. But as you were saying that, it made me think about how now you're paying it forward. So we always need people in our community. We need Black strong males that are doing something with their lives to help mentor the next generation. Because think about, if you didn't have those people, you didn't have an active father, and if you didn't have those men in your life, where would you be? If God hadn't blessed you to have those strong people that tell you, that just pour into you to let you know who you are. It's not that it wasn't in you, it was in you already. You just needed somebody to bring it out of you and bring it forward. So, that's why I really commend what you're doing, because now you are paying all of those things that those men took their time and their energy and poured into you. Now you're in a position to pay that forward and pour it into the next generation that's coming up. So I think that is amazing. That's amazing. And it is such a blessing that you even had those, because it's a lot of men. And I feel like that's how a lot of them get lost and a lot of them go astray, because they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody that tells them who they are. They don't have anybody that takes that time up with them, to teach them how to be a man. They just, they don't have it. So that is a blessing. That is an amazing blessing that you had that in your life. Absolutely.
For sure. Talk a little bit more about him. It's like, it got to a point that I knew he loved me, of course, from what he told me, but what he was telling me, and constantly being there, never leaving my side, always just there for me, to the point where his own children, I used to spend at his house, like, just to be with him and his son and things like that. It got to a point where like he a powerful man in my community. I just found that out later too. I didn't really know that. I kind of knew about like, man, coach, you know, but they was like, oh, trust me, he's very known and he's a powerful man. But it was to the point where his own children said, we used to call you Shea Finney, because like he always talks about you, he loves you. My whole family knew, his whole family knew about me. I didn't know that. His other children and things. His friends, like he'd take me to games and introduce me to his friends. They all said, I heard a lot about you. And he was bragging about me, talking about me. I never had that before.
Yep.
Like,
That's amazing. So just thinking about that and thinking about, you know, that time that he took up with you and all of the things that he did for you that obviously boosted your confidence, your esteem, you know, just letting you know that you can be whatever it is, you know, that you're setting forth to be. Thinking about that, and then think about how do you think your life would have been impacted if those same very things had come from your biological father?
you know, I believe everything happened for a reason. So I know that God's divine plan for me, this was in the cards. I don't know. I think I would probably, okay. I think if my father was provided this support and these things for me morally, I think at a younger age, I would have better confidence within myself. I would have had less insecurities growing up in life, because the fatherless component in my life created these things. It created insecurities. It created a lack of confidence. It's created commitment issues, trust issues, doubt, fears, the lack of love. Because once again, I know God loved me, but I didn't know my spiritual journey didn't really start until down the line. So only thing I know is what I'm experiencing. The only thing I know is what I'm a part of and what I'm within, what I'm in. So I felt that if I probably would have had him now, like I said, now we talk. It's been time we talk some real talk. Be sat down, have a drink together, stuff like that now. And like I said, I've been forgave him, so our relationship is way better now. But then I felt like I would have probably avoided so much pain and, like I said, insecurities, doubts, because that stuff affects you relationship wise too.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure.
it affected me, my view on women, my view on relationships, my view on love. I probably wouldn't been feeling so lost. You know what I'm saying? Like guidance, don't have no guidance, no structure, no discipline. If he was probably in my life when he was supposed to be in my life throughout a longer period of time, I probably wouldn't have to find or discover methods and ways to learn self-discipline, self-control, confidence. Like I said, I've had a better understanding of how I'm supposed to navigate through these waters.
Right. Yeah, that's and for you to even be aware of that, because I've spoken to several people, but for you to even be aware of that is you're already ahead of the game. There's so many people that cannot correlate, you know, the idea or the fact that they didn't have a father. And then I have some people that had a father in the household, but he just, you know, they weren't existent. So for you to be able to correlate those things together, because through research that it's all connected. It is very well connected. And not having that biological father, like you said, to give you that confidence and, you know, all of those things that you needed as a young man growing up to make you be able to show up in the world as you are, is detrimental. It really is detrimental. So you hit upon something about relationships, and that's where I was going next. So how do you think first of all, what did your relationship with your father, even though it was non-existent, what did that teach you about the relationships with the opposite sex? So women in your life, girlfriends, I don't know if you've ever been married before, ex-wives, whatever. What did that relationship teach you about a woman?
I learned in life, if you don't have certain figures or certain people pouring into you and teaching you things, you're gonna turn to the wrong people in this world for guidance and knowledge. That's
Mm-hmm.
most likely probably ain't the best advice. So with that being said, it's like, as we all know, generational curses and these broken
Mm-hmm.
cycles. I just feel like all you do is put yourself into that. You put yourself in a cycle of constant bad karma, constant, oh, okay, well, my father wasn't there, so I don't know how. You don't have that image of what real love looked like. You look at your
Right.
grandparents now, they've been together for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then you get to your generation, like that chain is broke. So now it's like, what do you do? And then you listen to people say, oh, you shouldn't, don't put your egg all in one basket, or you got to show women that you don't want them, or women only want what they can have. So you got to show they should have more women. You got to be a man. You got like all these deceptions and lies and misconstrued ideologies. Like, it's like, it don't
Mm-hmm.
even make sense if you really think about it. Like, why do
Yep.
we treat women? Why do, first of all, if you really know, and you're a mature person, you've been living long on this earth, you know that probably a woman is probably gonna hold you down more or better than your own family, than your own friends, or they gonna hold you down. Like, they really got your back. They really
Mm-hmm.
locked in with you. A woman is locked in with you. They there. So, but where do we get these false accusations about a woman's only this and women only that, and we can't do this, we can't do that, we got to treat them like this, treat them like that. So go back to what I was saying. Like, if I had a father that displayed real love, not and honestly, let's say if I do feel like he really loved my mother, but okay, he found love somewhere else. But if I would have
Mm-hmm.
saw that, probably would have avoided me going off the advice from the world, like I said, which is not a good advice to how to approach relationships, right? So yeah, so like, how can I truly love someone or know what love is if I've never seen love? But it was never really displayed or taught to me. Or like I
Mm-hmm.
said, all I see is men having multiple women, talk to multiple women, saying that's cool. This is how you gotta do it. And then of course me, like I said, being someone that already don't have that love from my father. My mother's working her butt off at the time. Once again, I don't understand these things. It's not the fact that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know better, but I don't understand it yet. I don't understand. I can't grasp the concepts yet because my I'm in a fragile state of mind. I don't know what's to this world yet. So you don't see real love. You see your mother single. You see her coming home by herself and all that, things like that. So who do you turn to? And then what? I'm supposed to go see friends? My friends' parents the same way.
Mm-hmm.
A mother raising one or two kids, or I don't see love. So the first thing you do is, but it was always a conflict with me because for some reason, I don't know why God implanted this in me, but well, I know why, but like I told you, I could have went the street way. I could have went
Mm-hmm.
towards the
Yeah,
streets.
for
I
sure.
was, huh? Wait,
For
pardon me.
sure.
Oh
No,
yeah,
I was saying, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could have. Trust me, I'm like, people don't understand my background. Like, that's in my bloodline. I easily could have went down that path and been a very, very bad person. So flip
Mm-hmm.
down the relationship side. Once again, no love, don't know what love is, haven't seen an example of it, no father figure and all that. But God always did something in me. It's like, you know what, Shay? Even though you're going through these circumstances, you don't really have love. You don't know what love is. You seeking for that love. You yearn for that love. You want to be loved. You want to have a family. Because once again, you
Mm-hmm.
always want to, oh, I want to be better than my father. My father wasn't there, I'm going to be there. My father
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in my mother's life. I'm not leaving my woman. So you try to be that example. You trying to, do better than those before you. Uh, so even though I was in the world that telling me all these things, how I should treat women, how I act. For some reason, I always like, man, I want to be like a good guy. I want to be like the guys being these black love stories like that
Mm-hmm.
actually do marry someone and be a good father, be a good father figure, be a role model, uh, be there for my child, be there for my woman, be there for the woman that had my children, love them correctly. But once again, I grew up in '90s, 2000 eras. And it's like you feel like the good guy finished last type deal, like only way you can really get a woman if you, and don't get me wrong, like I done a lot of crazy stuff, got my respect due to, certain things that I done in my life. But I didn't want to, I hate being fake and phony. So I'm not finna act a certain way just to get you to like me
Mm-hmm.
or feel like I got to display a certain attitude to make you, like me. I like if you're a woman and I gotta always show my crazy side or my tough side, maybe I shouldn't want to be with you. Like you should accept me for who
Right.
I am.
Right.
So, but it was hard. Like I said, it's hard to think like that when everybody that I'm not throwing anybody on the bus, but like, yeah, if you see nothing but they act in a certain way and women's flocking to that, you kind of like, oh, well, let me try it then, and things like that. So once again, going back to and then even your father, like you see him with multiple women, multiple baby mothers. You don't see no consistency. You don't see him you don't know. So it's like, so I guess it just left me to doing a lot of learning, trial and error, experiment type of dating and
Mm-hmm.
uh ideology. It kind of like did that for me. Like I had to go through things trial and error because now that I'm older, I learned like I could have saved myself a lot of trouble and saved myself a lot of heartache and trauma and
Yes.
things, insecurities if I just waited, I guess. But
Yes.
once again, all I'm hearing about, oh, you still a virgin? What you mean? You gotta do this and do
Mm-hmm.
that. All that stuff like makes it seem like that's not okay. So of course a little bit of peer pressure because everybody around you is pushing these things into your head. But like I said, if I knew any better, like once again, I'm trying. As I got older now, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of being in this cycle. I want to break
Mm-hmm.
this cycle. I want to break these chains. I'm tired of. I feel like all they did was create bad karma. If I just would have waited, or talk to a woman that I really felt like okay was about something, for the most part, and just
Mm-hmm.
see where it goes. Okay, cool. But some of the stuff that I did, like, it wasn't worth it. Like, so I just feel like it created bad karma. It created soul ties. It's created ways for another woman to be hurt. You say that you don't want to be like this man, or you don't put yourself in this position. You
Mm-hmm.
looked at them and said that, but all you're doing is becoming what you are afraid to become. So it's like I end up I'm just like them now. So I'm like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? So as I got older and I start finding God and I started becoming more spiritually, then things became more clearer. And then I started to understand and be accepting. And I also was afraid of being alone though too. Cause like I said, no father figure.
That's it.
I was afraid to be alone because once again, like I feel like I deserve love. I feel like I deserve to be happily married and have some. I feel like I'm a good person. I'm not perfect, not at all, but I'm a good enough person. Why can't I have someone? So like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to see like okay, well, I started getting afraid of being alone because I grew up alone, an only child until my little sister Brianna came in 2001. Paradise, she was the second oldest but my father had with another woman. But once again, she was in the city, I was in the suburbs of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure, I don't really know her. So it's like, I'm by myself a while. Only people I knew was my big cousins. I'm hanging with my big cousins a lot. But once again, they in the streets. So all I see is street stuff. All I see is how I'm supposed to be towards women, so like that. So then like I said, as you get older, you see those before you, parents or whatever the case may be, and they alone. You like, am I gonna be alone too? You start getting that fear again, and I
Mm-hmm.
was afraid to be alone. So I'm talking to people, entertaining things just to fill a void that no one can successfully fulfill besides God, which I didn't learn until later on in life. But yeah, just afraid of being alone and just felt like it wasn't fair and just like I said, insecurities, childhood trauma, and
Mm-hmm.
also being, yeah, just the lack of confidence due to having that missing piece in
Yep.
a strong, stable man to teach me, you know, how life is and show me how to live as a man.
Yeah, you dropped a lot of gems. I should have been taking notes. But yeah, to touch on a few things that you said, in the relationship part, I really feel as though, well, I always like to think, and I had a late friend that told me this. She said, I always want to believe that there's more good in the world than evil. Because if it was majority evil, we wouldn't be living this kind of life. So I would like to think that there is more good than evil. So when you were saying, there's people that can kind of sometimes pass through your life and teach you the wrong things, like they teach you the wrong outlooks on women, and teach you how to be a womanizer, and why you still a virgin, all these type of things. I really don't and we all have those people that kind of like, we don't know that it's wrong at the time, but
Right.
they will steer you down the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I like to believe that a lot of that comes from being a full group of unhealed people. And that
Right.
is, when you said that, that made me just, and I keep asking God to keep giving me confirmations for this project. I think all of it is a stem of not having a father. All of it is the root of growing up, not having that father figure in the house, and just passing that on from generation to generation to generation. And even when you say, a lot of times we see our grandparents who were married 50, 60 years. I had that same thing in my life. I had my grandparents, they were married 50 plus years, or great grandparents who were married 50 plus years. But and even my sister and I have had this conversation, they were together, and that was it. I still did not see that display of love, of what we think a marriage should be. They were just together in the house. I never saw them be affectionate. I never saw any of that type of thing. And I think a lot of Black couples in their generation, they just kind of grew up that way. So even in that sense, or in that token, it still probably wasn't, it was an example, but it probably wasn't the absolute best example of how we should lead our lives in our generation with the family. So and I don't know if my sister, if she told you or not, but I was married, so I am now divorced, and I'm co-parenting with my ex-husband. But both of us grew up not knowing, we didn't even know what it, like, we don't know how to be married. we we did it, but we didn't know what it was to be married. We didn't know how to kind of navigate through that. And not only did we not know, but we didn't even have people that we could turn to, that, a good, solid married couple that we could listen to, that could help guide us and teach us on how to be.
That community.
Right, exactly. So that is my intention on this project together, is to bring the awareness that we do all have this void, we do all have this hurt and this pain of not having fathers in our lives. And even the people that did them, we didn't have that solid, proper foundation of a biological father in our lives. And to just bring awareness to it so that we can start healing it, so that as the generations come, we can help lead them along the way. Because I can't make a father be a father. But what I can do is bring that awareness that there is a pain, there's a trauma there, there's a hurt there, so that we can start healing it. And not just that, but to incorporate our Heavenly Father into that, and how He can help us heal those voids and those spaces, those places where we're hurting, that He can come in and heal those places as well. Is in two, I'll get into that in the actual book that I'm writing. That God can heal us from the inside out, but we still need those physical father figures in our lives. But for those of us that wasn't fortunate enough to do it, and we've grown and we got to figure it out, we have to pray and ask God to help us fill those voids and heal those relationships, and move forward. So speaking of that, I want you to tell me, how has finding God influenced your life, and how has He showed up for you as your Heavenly Father?
Well, this is one simple concept of that, is like, God is the greatest. It's like His love him never giving up on you. Like, he could have gave up on me. Like I said, if you would have known the thoughts that used to go through my head due to my past, my childhood, you'd be like, what's wrong with you? Like, you sick, you know? But he always stayed there for me. Even in the midst of me not knowing what's going on in this world and growing up in my environment and not knowing, how life is going to turn out for me. Because like I said, all I know is what I see. And if you don't have the proper people teach you certain things and giving certain information to you or passing them that down, and all you know is the streets and drugs and poverty and all that, you're not gonna know. But he always was still there for me. And like I said, he used to show these little signs. My grandfather had God first. My grandma, you say, get right with God, and she'll plant that in me. And knowing that a God was there, but not knowing the importance of a relationship with God, not just to go to church and all that, but apply the word to your life, belief system, and growing into faith and things like that. So as that start to happen, you really sit here and think like, wow, like basically he never left my side. He may be quiet for a little while. He might be hiding, not hiding, but maybe chilling in the back. But he was always present within my life, because this is not by coincidence that I'm here. It's not a coincidence that my uncle told me about dreams and goals, and I wrote them goals down. And I can proudly say, I'm blessed to say that pretty much every goal that I've written down, not through my desire, some of it was my desires, I ain't gonna lie. It was my desire. I was like, I wanted this, I wanted that. But he gave me my true desires to his purpose that he had for me. So whether that's coaching, oh look, now you giving back like Coach Finnan, you instilling confidence like he taught, you still teaching these young men how to be men like your uncle and things like that. I accomplished it. Whether it was becoming a college coach, I did it. Became a college coach at my alumni, University of Missouri St. Louis. I coached there. I even was a coach at my old high school before it shut down. I was one of the last coaches with my best friend to coach at my high school before it shut down. That was one of my goals. That's crazy. Like all that happened. And then some more things is brewing, but I know guys got to create that. How can I put this? Guys he's trying to prepare me for the bigger goals that I have to accomplish. And he got to create that endurance. And I have to go through these challenges because, one, I feel like God just don't want to give it to me and then take it away quickly because I mishandle it. So I feel like he got to put me through these trials and tribulations, these struggles, these situations to eventually help me be able to attain these things for the long haul, for longevity. Because I could continue to pass down things, not just for me, but my children, grandchildren, and create generational, wealth. Not just talking about money, I'm talking about spiritually, mentally. Because once again, I learned what I do, what I think, how I feel can get passed down to my children. They can inherit my traumas, my pains, my sufferings, or some of my antics. So it's my job right now to correct myself because I can pass down the better things to them. I know they're gonna go through some stuff, but hopefully by me still being present, I can teach them and help them navigate. Unlike I had, my father at the time taught me and teach me, I can teach them so we don't have to continue this cycle, this broken cycle. So God been just teaching me lessons. God's been just showing me his favor. He adopted me in because I was a part of this world for a very long time. He bringing me in slowly but surely. So knowing that his presence was always there and never leaving me, that's true love. Like after all the stuff I did, after all the mess ups, after all the mistakes, he's still here. And he's using me, he's helping me come to him more. And I love the fact that it's now though, because if it was 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would turn away from him. He's doing it progressively, which I love. I love that it's not at an accelerated rate. Because sometimes when you get something so fast, you don't really cherish it, you don't appreciate it. And then when you lose it, you be like, wow, now you want to I feel like God, he knows my heart, of course. He knows me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he know that the slow grind is better for me.
His timing is perfect. Yes, for sure.
So that's another one. My Godspeed. My grandmother, I never knew what that means. She always used to say Godspeed, Godspeed. signature on the text message. Godspeed. What? I'm like, what? Okay. God
Yeah.
revealed it. So basically understanding that Godspeed is God's timing.
Right.
His timing is perfect. You know what I'm saying? His timing, you might not understand why something happened or why it didn't happen then, but through his timing, it'll reveal itself like, oh, okay, now that's why you didn't get that at the time. Relationship wise, I wasn't ready. Even though I thought I wasn't ready to love no woman correctly. I still had, even though as I got older, I knew my big insecurities, but I know the small
The hidden
insecurities,
ones.
the little antics, or me trying to prevent or projecting my fears, or the little doubtful thing, just anything like the little insecurities that we think we're over, we're really not. So we think we're ready for a relationship, but no, we're not. We're not really truly ready until we find that good foundation and that love with God, until we understand that no void can be filled by nothing in this world. That void got to be filled with God. Until you understand that, you're not ready for anything that you think you're ready for. That's relationships, that's jobs, that's positions, that's a child, that's anything. Until you fully have that a solid foundation with God, you pour in him into them voids, into them empty spots, and that empty glass. You're not ready for anything you think you are, so that you think you're ready for it. So I learned that. So yeah, his presence, his love, never leaving my side, being there for me is why I'm the man I am today. And just it's undescribable. It's I can't even explain what have God done for me, and his love for me. It's hard to explain. It's
That's
indescribable.
amazing. That's amazing. Well, we didn't went over an hour.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No. It was good. It was good. I could do this all day. But I want to close out by saying again, I commend you for all of your work. I commend you for everything that you're doing. I appreciate you taking out your time to just sit down and talk with me. I think this is so, and also thank you for allowing me to be able to share it. But I think this is like, I think Black men need the space to not just think about, their relationship with their fathers, but they need the space to be able to sit in it, to be aware of it so that we can start healing. And I think once we heal our Black men, every other piece of our society will begin to be healed, from our Black women, our Black children, the generation that's coming up after us. So again, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. And if you do not mind, I would like to pray before we get off. So dear God, I am so grateful and thankful for Shea. God, I thank you for everything that you're doing in his life. Lord God, I pray and ask that you continue to manifest yourself in his life each and every day. God, continue to touch him, give him the strength, the ability, the agility, the tenacity. God, everything that he needs, God, continue to give that to him on a daily basis, God, so that he can continue to do your work, God, so that he can continue to pour into the generation of Black strong men that is coming up behind him. God, I am so grateful and thankful, God, for everything that you've done. God, I pray and ask that as we set this project out, God, that it provokes healing in our Black communities, God, that there will be fathers that will step up, God, that there will be healing in relationships, healing in households. And God, we are just so grateful and thankful, God, for everything that you're doing in our lives. God, continue to show up for us, continue to pour into us, continue to navigate our paths each and every day. And God, we give you all the praise and the glory for who you are. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Well, I just want to say first, thank you for this phenomenal interview. It was great. It was, like, as you saw, it opened up a lot of emotions and feelings within me, and stuff I never really shared with somebody, no disrespect, like a stranger, somebody really don't know, to share that with you and to even probably go public. But it's fine. I don't have no problem with sharing my story, because I believe that my story could probably help. I might not be able to say many, but if I can just help say one, or help open up the minds of people to be more to be vulnerable, to express yourself. That's the only thing. We sometimes we're so close just because we're afraid. We're afraid of what people think. We're afraid of how we'll be looked. We're afraid. We'll be thinking that we'll be deemed weak or things like that. And as a man, you got to stop thinking like that, because honestly, you're actually more stronger when you can express your vulnerability, your pain, your suffering. That makes you stronger. That'll make you weaker. It makes you weak from trying to hide it. So,
and I know, and that's been my prayer this year. Like, Lord, put me in places, even if I'm helping one person. But
Yeah.
Shea, I assure you there, and I've been talking to several different men. I've been doing so much research. By you guys being open and vulnerable and telling your story, I'm telling you, you are going to heal not one person, y'all. It is going to heal thousands of Black men. There's going to be men that sit down, like, even, and I'm a female in our story. You know, we have a very similar story. But think about how many other males, even men that you knew that, you know, that have grown up in this manner, and they just don't even have the words to put to it. You might be putting the words to the way a young man is feeling. He doesn't even know how to articulate it. So again, I know that your story is going to impact thousands, if not millions. And that's my prayer. That's my belief, that it is going to start healing. And that's what we need in our society, healing. So thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. It was a wonderful. I appreciate it. You dropped so many gems. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it and write
I hope I was
stuff
talking
down.
clearly enough. I didn't expect it to be hit this deep, but thank you once again. And I just have to say, this is my closing statement, that this project will be highly successful. So do it.
Thank you.
Go give it your all. Go hard at it, because it's going to be successful. But most importantly, like you said, it's going to heal. It's going to save lives. So thank you so much, and have a good day.